podcast. I'm your host, Danny Bonsignor, and I am so thankful you are here today. I pray that I can help encourage you to feel, to love, to heal, and to help encourage you to view all of your experiences, your conversations, and interactions all through a lens of love. Hello. Welcome to episode 13 of the Healing Mama podcast. I am so happy you are here, and I am so excited for what we are going to talk about today. This is the kind of stuff I could talk about all day, and this conversation is so important, and my hope is that it helps spark some new thoughts and new ideas that can help you get one step closer to the person or parent you want to be. When you are able to get into the world of your child, understanding happens. And when you are able to get into their world and understand where they are coming from, you are better able to parent your child from a place of encouragement, empathy, and understanding. So today, for just a little bit, I want you to look at you. I want you to think about some things that were said to you or about you when you were younger. What are some of the lies that the adults around you said to you or about you when you were a child that you continue to believe about yourself to this day? Or maybe you have embarked on a healing journey and have accepted that these things are no longer true about you, and you have started to rewrite the script of what you believe about yourself. But what are some of the things, and how did you come to believe them? I actually went to my Instagram and I asked my followers this question, and a lot of the responses were the same or very similar. I am shy. I'm too much. I'm dramatic. I'm sensitive. I'm so quiet. I'm so emotional. I can never do anything right. I am selfish. I am not worthy. I was so incredibly sad reading these, and the amount of women who shared these and how many of them were so similar. Honestly, it just makes me angry. It makes me angry that so many of us grew to believe these things about ourselves because when we were a toddler and we acted how either a toddler acts or how the environment in which we lived and the adults around us influenced us to act. I do believe that for a lot of us, not all of us, but for a lot of us, we had well-meaning parents and adults around us, and maybe they didn't know the impact that their words could have on us. I feel it is so important to say that you are not too much because when you were young, no one gave you the space to figure out how to feel your feelings and handle your emotions. You are not dramatic because when you were a toddler, the adults around you weren't able to understand that your problems felt as big to you as their problems did to them. You are not shy because you didn't speak to adults when they thought you should, and especially to the ones you didn't know or the ones that didn't help you to feel the way a safe adult would. You are not selfish because you didn't do what the adults around you wanted you to do and when they wanted you to do it. You are allowed to say no if something doesn't serve your children or you. So many struggle with saying no, and I think when you learn to say no to certain things, you are able to give more to the yeses, and the yeses start to feel good again, and you stop feeling stretched so thin. You are entitled to feel how you feel, but just remember that what you feel is just that. A feeling, and it is temporary. You get to decide how you feel. Stop giving the words and thoughts of others so much power over you. I first learned this in my training to become a positive discipline educator, that no one makes you feel any certain way, you make you feel that way. Yes, those around you, especially our children, can trigger certain unhealed emotions, but the way you allow this to make you feel and the way you react is your choice. For many people, and especially me, this can be hard to hear. And I realized for me, it's because taking the role of victim and blaming other people for my feelings was easier than one, changing the way I felt, and two, learning that it's okay not to give my power away, that someone can do something and I don't have to let it bother me. It's okay not to let someone else make me feel how they were hoping and maybe how deep down they are likely feeling. I wanted to talk about this with you today because, and this is it, because you are writing the script for your child right now. When we call our children dramatic, when we tell them they are always moving slow and subsequently rushing them and disrupting the peace of their nervous system, when we tell them they always make a mess or we get frustrated at their mistakes, we forget in the moment that mistakes are good. And so many of us were taught to fear the consequences or to fear what came after a mistake like it's a bad thing. Mistakes are good and they are for learning. And what would it mean to your child if the next time they made a mistake, you gave them praise and encouragement instead of shame and discouragement? What mountains could a child grow to climb, or at least be willing to try, if they learn to view mistakes as a means to grow? When you were a child, a mountain doesn't look like a mountain. It looks like a spilled cup of water that isn't followed by the fear of being spanked on the bottom. We are instilling the thoughts that they will think about themselves as adults right now. How powerful is that? So what do you want your child to believe about themselves when they are an adult? What beliefs are you unknowingly teaching them to believe about themselves? Let's make sure that while we cannot control how other people act around our children, and we cannot control what other people say to our children, we can control what we say. What you tell your children might hold even more power because you are their parent, you are the one they love and trust, and you are most likely the person that they spend the most time with. So how often are they hearing these things? What thoughts about your child do you want to place in their head? What part of their script will you gladly be responsible for writing? I think when you put it like this, it's kind of like an aha moment. And we don't discuss this for the purpose of feeling guilt or shame over the things we may or may not have said, because it is likely that these are things that were said to us over and over again. This is to bring awareness to the words you are choosing to speak over your child. And if the adults that said these words to us, these words that held so much power over us, that as adults we know exactly what to say when asked about the beliefs we have believed about ourselves for most of our life, how powerful are the words that you speak over your own child? And what words can we choose instead? What if, instead of saying your child is shy or agreeing with strangers when they say this, you responded with something like, "Oh, they're not shy, they just don't know you." And instead of worrying about that adult being offended by your response, you worried more about how their words and your response to their words and how they will affect your child. This is a moment to show your child that you are on their side. What if instead of calling your child dramatic because you don't understand why the issue at hand feels so big to them, you remember a time when others didn't understand issues that felt big to you, and you instead respond with, "I see you're upset. Do you need a hug?" What if instead of telling your child they are too much, which probably has more to do with you feeling overwhelmed by the situation and not with them, you were honest and you said, "I'm feeling very overwhelmed. I want to hear what you have to say, but can we talk about this after dinner?" Or you take it a step further because maybe you find yourself feeling overwhelmed often, and so you decide to take a look at your life and you take some things away so you don't have to feel so overwhelmed and you have more emotional availability for your child. What are ways we can stop sending messages to our children that they are unworthy, that they never get it right, that they don't belong? As parents and as adults who likely didn't have adults around them who were emotionally available enough and emotionally mature enough to be able to teach us or model this for us, how can you help yourself so that you can help your child? I want to take this a step further and talk about some common reactions to things that occur often with children, especially toddlers, and why we may or may not react a certain way. When your toddler drops something, how do you respond to that? Do you huff and puff and say something like, "Seriously, you are always dropping things"? Or do you say, "That's okay, we drop things sometimes. What can we do about it?" When your toddler spills something, do you immediately shame them by saying, "Ugh, you are always making messes"? Or do you say, "That's okay, spills happen. What can we use to clean it up?" If you have a more negative reaction to your child dropping or spilling something, I just want you to take a moment and think about why. Why is it a big deal to you when your toddler who has tiny little hands drops that cup? When you sit here today and not in that moment, does it really feel like that big of a deal? When you think back on the last time your child dropped something, was it worthy of the reaction that you gave? Sometimes the way we respond in these moments isn't how we would choose to respond when we sit here and think about it. But when it happens, your go-to is to respond how the adults responded to you when you did that same thing at that age. I remember I was mopping the floors one day and my daughter was like 2 at the time, and she walked somewhere I had just mopped moments ago, and I was immediately annoyed because I didn't want her to dirty my just mopped floor. And I sort of had this moment, this aha moment, because of something I had heard or read. And I realized that I didn't actually care. Floors get dirty. But when I was younger, this wasn't the case for me. And so I was subconsciously creating this belief in my daughter that it's bad to walk on floors that have recently been mopped, even though I don't really believe this. Another thing is I choose to see my daughter wanting to play with her food as a form of creative expression or just like a need of something that she's not getting, and so she's feeling super inclined to just play with her food. And often I will give her the space and tools to play with a small amount of food instead of pouring water on her entire plate. And when she started to do this, I remember my husband very quickly saying something like, "No, we don't play with our food." By the way, I asked him if I could share this. But I asked why not, and he didn't even have an answer at the time. And later he said something like, "I want her to have manners as an adult." And I asked, "Do you honestly believe that allowing your 2 or 3-year-old to safely play with their food will mean that at 27 she won't have manners?" He realized that this might have been something he was told as a toddler and didn't even know what belief he was passing on to his own child. What if she's meant to be a chef? She will have manners as an adult if you always use manners around her and model to her what this looks like and gently guiding her when necessary. It is okay to say this is fine to do at home, but it's not something we will do at a restaurant. I just think how many of us react to situations a certain way and we don't even know why we are doing it. I feel like it's usually just not something we would choose to continue doing if we just asked ourselves why. But in the moment when we flipped our lids, when we're not thinking clearly and we are just reacting, this isn't something we think about. But when you sit here right now and you hear this, are there any current or past situations that come to mind? How often do we say things without knowing why we are saying it? For the next couple of weeks, just pay attention to your reactions to certain situations involving your child and notice how you feel after this reaction. Was your reaction encouraging or discouraging? I think you will notice that as you continue being more mindful about your reactions and as your reactions start to become more encouraging, you will start feeling less guilty. We feel guilty when we are discouraging to our children, even if we don't know in the moment that what we are doing is discouraging. I just want to say again that this is not the time to feel bad about how you have acted in the past. This is the time to allow yourself and to give yourself the time to feel how you have felt about your reactions in the past and to tell yourself how you will handle certain situations moving forward. What can I do differently the next time this happens so that when that occurrence happens again, instead of reacting how you have done over and over in the past, you have your own aha moment. And it's the first time you start doing things differently. And it just takes one time, and it's not going to be perfect every single time. But as long as you are keeping this at the forefront of your mind and you are just telling yourself over and over how you are going to respond the next time something happens, or even when you go to sleep at night, you aren't shaming yourself about how you acted that day, but you are telling yourself that this is so good that you are aware of this and that next time this is what you're going to do differently. Giving yourself grace, being kind to yourself, and reacting to yourself how you want to react to your child. I think that's a really big one because a lot of times we kind of shame and blame ourselves. But when we're acting this way, when we are reacting poorly to our children, we are discouraged. We are feeling so discouraged in that moment. And so we have to be kind to ourselves also. And then we can extend this kindness to our children. We have to be encouraging to ourselves and we can be encouraging to our children because we deserve the same kindness and encouragement as our children do. And as I said, when we are reacting poorly, we as adults, we are feeling discouraged. And so, yeah, we just need to be kind to ourselves. You need to be kind to yourself. You deserve kindness even when you react poorly. And just as quickly as your child forgives you, you should forgive yourself. So, with that being said, if you feel called and you want to comment in the Q&A box what really spoke to you from today's talk, I would really love that. And so would the next person who reads it and knows they aren't alone. I pray you have a wonderful 2 weeks full of self-awareness and that my voice just kind of comes up in different moments of your day and you're just like, wow, I didn't like how I reacted. I'm going to do better next time. So, yes, have a wonderful 2 weeks, and I can't wait till we get to talk again. In closing today, I just want to leave you with this quote by Rudolf Dreikurs. A misbehaving child is a discouraged child. Each child needs continuous encouragement, just as a plant needs water. He cannot grow and develop and gain a sense of belonging without encouragement. Until next time.